Okay, I feel like I could talk about Google Classroom all day, so I'm just gonna, what I did was I put a reference sheet in the chat there, and it's kind of got a few things that I'm gonna touch base on with mine, and then some links there for people to use if they like some of the things that I have in my Google Classroom. So the first thing I wanted to talk about is just kind of some organization, and I know at the beginning of the year, you guys did an amazing job putting out Cruising with Google, which had a lot of awesome things to use, and just kind of, I feel like for everybody that needed a little like get up and go for the school year, since we didn't have a whole lot of training, y'all did really great with that. So I kind of took that and ran with it. Alice Keeler is one of my like big followers. I don't know if you follow her, and if you guys do, but she is super Google savvy. And one of the first things that I did with her is she is very adamant about ending your Google Classroom at the 9 weeks grading period, or whatever your grading period is. And that way you can go back and you have just those assignments for that 9 weeks, just these assignments for this 9 weeks. And it just kind of helps you stay a little bit more organized. So that's how my Google Classroom is set up. You can see my culinary classes here. We're in the second quarter, or the second 9 weeks. And in my archive, you can see my first quarter. And so it'll be the same way when we move over to January. So when you go into, good morning. When you go into my Google Classroom slowly, one of the things that I originally didn't do as a teacher was keep the access and the settings for my students to chat. I don't know if there was like a complete reason other than I just didn't feel super comfortable with it. But the more I listened to others and the more YouTubers that I watched, it really is an awesome place for your students to be able to collaborate. And now that we have all these online learners, I've realized how important that is for them. So for our teachers that do have Google Classroom going, and I know that many of us do, this gives me an opportunity for my students to like peer teach, where if one of them has a question, another student that sees that question can ask it. And it just kind of course, I can still monitor that and see what's going on. And if I need to make any corrections to like maybe the answer that they're giving, I can. But it saves me a lot of time, especially when you're repeating something in the classroom every single day over and over again, especially for those who didn't listen the first time. Then you have now these students that are giving that information back. So love that feature, excellent idea. I definitely had to set up some expectations at the beginning of the year for students on what's like appropriate chat and what's not appropriate chat, but definitely helpful there. Okay, so here's where my fun stuff comes in, y'all. When you go to your classwork tab, let me see if I can move this little thing out of the way over here. Okay. I organize my assignments by the week. So no matter what we do, and this is going to be different for every teacher, but I feel like the concept is still the same. What we do is whether we do an assignment on Monday or we do it on Wednesday, every assignment is due on Friday at 4 p.m. So if they forgot to hit turn in, or if they forgot to hit submit, they still have an opportunity to get that assignment in by Friday. Because if I'm being honest, I'm not grading an assignment the day of. I'm definitely not grading every assignment the day of. So I give them till Friday to turn that in. And what happens there is that gives any of my students that have technical issues or anything like that, just a little bit of extra time to work on that if they missed it one of the days. And that goes back to my grading policy too. What you see is week 8. That's where we're at right now. Hallelujah. We're almost to week 9. But you can see little emojis that I've got going on up here, and that visually shows my students. And I think this is also really great for the younger levels, which is why I was excited to talk about this today, because my little one needs visuals at the primary school. And I've got little green check marks next to my week 8 assignments. And that's everything that we're doing so far this week under week 8. And that shows that it's green, it's a go, we're still working on them. You know that you have access to them. But if you move down to last week, you see these warning signs, okay? They're bright yellow, they've got some exclamation marks there. That's telling them that it's past the due date, it's late, but I'm still going to accept it. And you can get points, you can still turn it in, but you may have some points deducted there. And again, it goes back to my grading policy. I'm going to skip over instructional videos for just a second, but what you'll see at the very, very bottom, okay, when we get to the very bottom of Google Classroom, are these strike throughs. And that's telling my students, hey, that assignment is past 3 weeks, Ms. Lowe is not accepting it, and it's locked. Now, let me tell you, Google Classroom does not actually let you lock assignments. And if you're wanting to save your Google Classroom for next year, you don't want to delete those out of there. So instead, I lock them and I use a strike through text, and that shows them that they are not going to be able to do it. Now, again, can't actually lock it. So if they wanted to look at that assignment number 15 and open it and do it, they could, but my kids know that I am not going back to a locked assignment to grade it. So they just wasted their time. So just some really easy visuals. Again, super great for the high schoolers because they like to use excuses like, oh, I didn't know that we weren't allowed to do that week, or I didn't realize it was due then. This gives them an opportunity to see like, oh, I don't have an excuse. I can't say it's not due because I go in and update that every week. So I love the little emoji text and the strike through. And what I did was I added that on the Google Looks and Links sheet that I put in the chat, and you'll see two emoji links and 2 strike through text. And there's also different options. You can use scriggly text. There's hundreds and hundreds of Bitmojis. They're all different colors. So if you didn't like the warning signs or if you wanted to use something else, you definitely could. There's a ton of options. And I'm going to show you real quick how to do that for those of you who are like, this is a lot of information at once. Okay. So on our little link here, if you go to get emoji, y'all, I'm going to try so hard not to run out of time. I'm going to talk really fast.
You're fine. And hey, I'll post the video as well as the link to your documents.
Perfect. Okay.
In the PLC, so don't worry.
Here's the little emoji, and like literally hundreds of them. The ones that I find most relevant are at the bottom though for the classroom. So because I teach culinary arts, these are super fun to use when I do recipe text in our assignments, and you'll see these here. Okay, maybe I want to put a calendar date or a trash can. You just highlight it and Control-C copy. That's literally it. There's nothing fancy that you have to do. And then you're going to go back to your Google Classroom. And whether it's I only use them for topics, but you could definitely put emojis on your assignments. I know teachers that do check marks next to each assignment, and they put like X's next to other assignments that are done. So it's really a preference there. But all I'm going to do is go in, rename it. I could take out my little lock and Control-V, put my trash can. And then just save it. So very, very simple. It's not a whole lot of extra work in your Google Classroom to add those. But I do feel like they make a huge difference to my students visually for them to see what's going on in there. Another thing, kind of moving on from my organization there, is numbered assignments. And I know that if you did the Google for Cruising with the technology team at the beginning of the year, they did talk about organizing different ways. One thing that I specifically like to do, and I just think it makes your life as a teacher so much easier, is making those assignments numbered, giving it a 3-digit number. And you can see, like, I don't even have to name my assignments when I'm talking about them in class. I'm like, okay, guys, we're on assignment number 17. This is what we're doing. And I just can reference it to like that, because a lot of times they won't remember the title of your assignment that you give them. And they're like, which one is that? Well, those numbers allow it to be organized, and they can also see, okay, well, we're done with that. We're moving on to the next number. So just a really, really easy thing there. And again, you can see from week 2, we've got 6 and 7, and then it moves up 8, 9, 10. And I do that throughout the entire 9 weeks. So then once the 9 weeks is done and I'm going to archive that Google Classroom, our assignment numbers can start over with 1 again, and they won't be confused with that as well. So again, just a really easy organizing tip there for you in your Google Classroom. Okay, so the last 2 things I'm going to talk about are my schedules, agendas, and resources, which you can kind of see here. Now, I am probably a little extra, and I have them because we work off like a 3-week grading period in my Google Classroom, and that's when our assignments get cut. It's like first 3 weeks after we get that progress report, I X out all of those assignments and strike them through. 3 to 6, when we get to 6 weeks, I X them out and strike them through. That just saves me a lot of hassle from grading things from another progress report. But what I do is I have this little instructional video section here, and I have it for every 3 weeks. And again, you could do this for like 6 weeks or 9 weeks, whatever you wanted to. But I have my little teacher emoji here, so you can see that she's a helpful link. Again, visuals. And then we've got weeks 7 through 9. Now, if you were to scroll down to my other instructional videos that are down here, you'll see weeks 1 through 3. And I've got a lot of instructional videos there. Those are Screencastify. So if you don't use Screencastify, it is a lifesaver in your Google Classroom. It keeps me, when I have my kids online and they're like, Miss Lowe, I don't understand how you did that. Can you do it again? I can just say, hey, go watch that instructional video for assignment number 8. And they can look in this section here and see, oh, okay, assignment number 8 right here, Thursday, October the 22nd. And then they can review that over and over again. So instead of me having to repeat it over and over again, I've just saved myself some time, and they can play it as many times as they want until they get it. So I'll do an instructional video for every assignment that I feel like has something that they may have trouble with. So I don't do one for everything. Of course, if it's like something simple, I don't do it. But if it's you need to download this or save it a special way, I will go in and show them those instructions through Screencastify and then upload it there for them. So that's just something that's really, really helpful for my online learners, or even my ones in class that maybe didn't get it the first time around. I feel like this is something really great for all core classes to have and do, especially when it comes to like math problems, or maybe you're annotating something. I mean, literally anything, but it gives them that repetition that some of them may need. So again, instructional videos, awesome little section that I add in my Google Classroom there that will save you some time for sure. And then my last thing is my daily agenda. I'm gonna talk about that and I'll be done. If I go up to, and I always keep this towards the top so that it's relevant for my students and they don't have to search for it. We have some bathroom issues happening at the high school. So we've got this whole sign in, sign out thing. Mine is 100% digital. So I've got little QR codes in my room. They can scan it and then it goes to a Google form. It shows me when they signed out and how long it took them and when they signed back in. But since we have computers a lot in our classroom, I also have that link right there under my schedules and agendas. So they have access to it online as well as in the classroom. It just depends. Sometimes we get service, sometimes we don't for them to do it. My daily agenda, that's what I reference my students to every single day. So I have that at the top, especially for my online learners. Again, that's just one more thing, or for parents too. I've got this in our Google website so they can see it. It's all attached. But when you click on my daily agenda, this has been my favorite thing, I think, all year. When my kids say, I hate when kids say, oh, what are we doing today? What are we doing today? Because you hear it a million times, right? So I tell them, go look at your daily agenda. Look at your daily agenda. It's online in their phones. They've got all the apps they need. It's taken a little while to load, but this has every single thing that we've done since the start of school. And the way I do this with Google Slides, because it's all compatible and super awesome, is I want whatever I'm doing for the day to be the first slide on there. That way, when they open it, they don't have to search for what we're doing. They automatically see it. So when I opened it just now, you saw Tuesday, today, and then their assignment that they're working on. And so one big thing with this is it's amazing. The way it works with my website is that it has to be the first slide on there in order for you to see it and it be active when you're looking at it. And I'm just going to kind of show you what I'm talking about real quick. Time is it? 8 o'clock. Okay.
You're fine. It's okay.
Okay, so if I go to my introduction to culinary class, that same Google slide that has my daily agenda is linked here. So my parents, as well as my kids, can see, of course, our TEKS and syllabus and all that, but they see that first slide of the Google slide, which is today. And so that's just a really big thing. If that's something you're wanting to implement, make sure that you're kind of working backwards in your Google Slides. So that way the most relevant one is on top and they see the same thing that my kids are seeing in the daily agendas. So again, that just saves me some extra time. And also it's a good reference for me. I can take this entire Google slide and then basically it's my syllabus for next year. Or I can see, maybe this took a little extra longer, so I need to reevaluate. So just an extra little piece to make your life a little bit easier. And I think today's agenda, there's lots of templates out there. I want to say I got from somewhere on there. Okay. Did I miss anything? Instructional videos, agendas, resources? No, I think that's everything. That's as much as I think I can cover in 15 minutes.
And you did an excellent job. Thank you.